This is WCM's Park Update, a weekly show covering the outdoor hospitality industry, hosted by Ben Quiggle and Mike Gast. During each episode, you'll hear from special guests and campground experts on topics that will help your park flourish. WCM's Park Update is a production of Woodall's Campground Magazine.
Hi, I'm Ben Quiggle, editor of Woodall's Campground Magazine, and this is another edition of WCM's Park Update. And our sponsor for this show is Campgrounds of America. And of course, my esteemed colleague, Mike Gass, is here, president and founder of the Emiola Group. And it's great to have him on. And our guests today are from Open Road Resorts. We have Jim Omstrom, who is a co-founder of the company, and Chase Becker, who is also the other co-founder of the company. And I guess the company was founded in 2019. It's fairly new compared to some of the other companies that are around. I guess Jim and Chase, why'd you guys decide that this is the industry you wanted to dive into, I guess?
Chase, you want to jump in with that, or you want me to hop in?
Go ahead, Jim.
Sounds good. Yeah, Ben. So Chase and I, we met, I don't know, almost 15 years ago at a prior firm. We have backgrounds in investing in the public equity markets and consumer equities, casinos, hotel companies, cruise lines. Unfortunately, the power sports and the RV companies. So we were intimately familiar with the RV space from the public equity investing realm, and the Thors and Winnebagos and Camping Worlds of the world. And if you fast back up to in 2018, Chase and I were sitting down for dinner, and I was in Dallas, and we started chatting, and we're thinking of something interesting, something we were passionate about, something we would like to do. And he had mentioned, a good friend of his was a lender, commercial lender in Dallas, and he mentioned RV parks to Chase. And
yeah,
I'm like, that's interesting. We both love the outdoors. We love camping, hunting, fishing, kind of all of that stuff. And we started digging in, and we were like, this is really interesting. So we started looking kind of middle of 18 for campgrounds, and wanted to find one in the DFW market where Chase is based, and ended up finding one, not too far, about 30 minutes from him, and acquiring that. And he kind of jumped in, learned all the ins and outs of operations, expanded the park, and did everything. And we really started appreciating the industry even more, and decided to go from there and kind of build it up. So then we went and acquired Red Rock RV Park shortly thereafter, just outside of West Yellowstone in Island Park, Idaho. And then about a month after that, we ended up acquiring the two Polson properties, the Polson Motor Coach Resort and the Polson KOA Holiday up in Polson, Montana. So we just immediately fell in love with the industry and wanted to continue to add parks. And once COVID happened, we kind of paused and kind of sat back and let things play out before we started getting active again this year.
Yeah, I got your website pulled up here, and you can see some of the parks. How many parks in total do you guys have now?
We just acquired our sixth park last week, the Santa Fe KOA. We're under contract, and we'll close on our seventh later this month. And then that's in the DFW market as well. And then we're actually building, we're doing a greenfield development in the Dallas market. That'll be our eighth park.
Wow.
So Jim, was buying into the KOA franchise part of the plan to start with?
It wasn't part of the plan to start with. The first park we bought was an independent park, the Dallas Northeast Campground. We've been really happy with our, KOA. It's a great company to partner with and be a franchise of. We have nothing but great things to say about them. So they've been great partners so far, and we're happy to continue to own additional KOAs or independent parks.
Yeah, what's been the benefit? I guess we always talk a little bit about franchise versus non-franchise to some degree, and obviously Campgrounds of America is the sponsor of the show. But I guess what's the kind of the difference between the two types of parks? I guess I imagine KOA kind of gives you a lot more marketing support, maybe, that you have to kind of find on your own the other way, I guess.
Sure, Chase, you want to hop in?
Sure. Yeah.
You're up, Chase. You're up.
I think the marketing angle is definitely helpful. I think KOA being well respected and having kind of this brand standard that everyone knows what you're going to get with a KOA product is absolutely helpful. And the team at KOA has been fantastic, great resources across the board. So anytime there's questions that we have ranging from marketing to individual amenities we'd want to do for upgrading the parks, they've been fantastic to work with. So, obviously on the independent side, Jim and I have had to kind of figure some of this stuff out ourselves. So it's different, but I would say having KOA, being a part of that system has definitely been beneficial to us for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is the West Omaha KOA right here. This is pretty close to you, Mike. So,
I'm very familiar with that one. Yes, I am. It's a great little spot down there, and it's on the doorstep of a lot of great shopping down there. It's got some outlet stores, and it's kind of midway between Omaha and Lincoln, so I think it gets a lot of action during football weekends, I'm guessing.
yeah.
It does.
So,
Yeah, it really is a great location. We actually are in the process of expanding that park, adding over 70 more sites to it. It's really a great location, and there's a lot of things to do around in that area. Obviously, Nebraska football is a big deal, but there's a ton of things that happen in Omaha. College World Series, which is a big event, of course, in June. But no, we've been very happy with that. We actually acquired that in April of this year.
So a lot of the investors, and there's been a ton of them here in the last few years that we have on the show. They invest in parks. Either they're, I think the majority of them, either they're buying parks that already exist, or they're doing ground up developments, and that's what they do. So they do either one or the other. There's been just a few that have done both. You guys are doing a ground up development. I guess what made you decide, we have these parks that we've acquired. What made you decide that you wanted to do a new build development as well, I guess?
Sure. That's a great question, Ben. Going forward, we will primarily focus on existing parks with, that have an ability to expand and upgrade the facilities. We're not going to focus on greenfield development. This was kind of a one-off. It'll be directly across the street from our Dallas Northeast campground. Okay. We were able to acquire roughly 18 acres across the street, and the demand in that area is incredible. We really like the market. They're going to start tightening regulations there. It's going to make it much harder for increasing competition going forward. So we thought it was just it's a great market, for RVing. We wanted to be able to have additional capacity. We were able to do it kind of across the street from our current property. So that's why it was a unique kind of one-off situation.
Yeah, I mean,
you got some great spots. How do you evaluate where you want to go next?
We're open. I mean, we're looking. We have, Chase and I have been doing this the last couple of years, and just essentially looking around the country. We built databases from the ground up, and calling owners, introducing ourselves to them at either over the phone or at conferences and conventions. We have certain markets that we're definitely focused on, but we're open to exploring anywhere in the United States.
Yeah. I guess what do you look for in a campground? Obviously, are you looking for that ability to expand and add amenities when you're looking at parks you want to invest in?
We are. We like to be able to expand parks. We've expanded our Red Rock Park and almost doubled the size of that park. We expanded the Dallas Northeast property. We're going to be expanding. We'll expand that again. They're actually bringing city sewer down to that property, and the new build across the street will also be on city sewer. So we'll be adding additional sites to Dallas Northeast. We're fully entitled to expand the Polson properties. We're going through the process on Santa Fe. So we like doing the expansions and upgrades at the property. West Omaha, Chase hit on, we're expanding that property. So when we're looking for campgrounds to acquire, we certainly like having properties that have an ability to expand or excess acreage around them that maybe the current owner of the campground doesn't own, but we're able to potentially acquire to expand the property. So that's a big part of it for us, having ability to expand.
So you mentioned that you took a little bit of a pause during COVID, like everybody else did. How rapidly were you able to come out of that? And does the economic situation that we're in now give you pause also?
Sure. I mean, listen, we feel everyone knows what happened during COVID. You had a big step up in the back half of 20, and then a really big step function higher for demand in all of 2021. And you've seen a little bit of normalization on the demand side in 22 and 23, and again in 24, and seeing the booking window also compress slightly. You know, without that step function, if you just normalize trends going back in 20 years, we would still be on pace for kind of low to mid single digit growth. So we feel very good about the long-term outlook for the industry. And people want to get outside, demographics are getting younger, you have the boomers. So we feel very good about it over the long, and we're playing the long game. So we're very, again, we have a background in investing, so we focus a lot on the underwriting and normalizing trends and making sure that, you know, we're not overextending ourselves. So I would say we're relatively conservative when we go into an underwriting process. But we feel very good about acquiring parks now and in great markets that have, you know, underlying demand drivers for the long term.
So Chase, let's talk a little bit about the marketing you mentioned earlier. It's got to be a little bit different when you've got a branch basically like KOA and you're still trying to establish your own brand. How do you bring those together so that they make sense?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mike. I mean, in all fairness, I would say we really have not pushed the Open Road Resorts brand at all. If you walked into any of our locations, there's no attire, there's no apparel, nothing like that, right? We view ourselves more as kind of operators of the real estate. And of course, we own the real estate, but really, I think what we're trying to do is provide a safe, clean, fun environment that's family friendly. And over time, you know, we think that could morph into something unique and be known as operators of these parks. So right now we're not pushing that really hard, but we are behind the scenes working on what are some things that we can be doing across all of our assets, whether they're a KOA or not a KOA, that can really differentiate the customer experience. So that's been a big focus for Jim and I behind the scenes, and I'd say TBD. But at the end of the day, as Jim said, the number one priority is safe, clean, highly amenitized parks that have natural draws. You know, there's some markets that we just wouldn't look at. Some markets will have great draws that we will not invest in because of some changes in supply that have happened in the last couple of years, which is another interesting topic that I think people will be talking about in the next kind of 12 months. So we just want to be disciplined with our underwriting, and then over time, if we operate these right, you know, we think people will recognize Open Road Resorts for how we're operating and managing these parks. And we do everything internally. We don't outsource our management to third-party firms. There's some very capable and good ones out there. We just historically have felt like no one really cares like the people that are paying the bank, right? And so we've got real skin in the game, and we think it's really important to have direct communication with all of our general managers across the parks.
And where are you finding those folks? Where do you find the staff and the general managers that are fully trained for what you want to do?
Great question. We've actually been very fortunate with all of the assets that we've acquired, except for Omaha. We've been able to retain some really fantastic talent. And the great thing about the RV space with work campers is there's a lot of people that are wanting to go out and explore, especially the boomers. And so we've had, and especially it helps having some nice locations that are desirable to attract some talent. We actually hired a general manager in Omaha that did not have an RV background, but had hospitality and restaurant experience. And you know, there's been a little bit of a learning curve, but he's done a great job and really has gotten up to speed quickly. So, you know, we will look outside of traditional employees that have been exposed to the RV space. Really, what we care about is the customer touch point and the hospitality aspect. So making sure we have someone that understands that it's the customer's always right is important. So we feel very fortunate with all the talent that we have.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're going to take a break to recognize our sponsor, Campgrounds of America, and then we'll be back in a minute to talk more with Jim and Chase. Campgrounds of America is the leading brand in camping, known for its 60-plus years of expertise and trusted quality. By joining the KOA family, franchisees benefit from the strong brand recognition, operational excellence, and a proven business model designed to foster growth and success. The flexible franchise options empower owners to achieve their goals while providing an exceptional camping experience for guests. To learn more about joining the KOA family of campgrounds, visit ownakoa.com. Hi, welcome back to WCM's Park Update, and we are talking with Jim and Chase from Open Road Resorts. And I think, the biggest news coming from you guys here in the last week or so was the announcement that you guys have an investment partner, and I'm going to screw up this name, Catterton. Catterton. All right, there. See, I was pretty close. And along with them, they were joined by Thor Industries, which is the world's largest manufacturer of RVs, and they're based in Elkhart, Indiana. And then Long Light Capital and Chesapeake Partners. I guess, can you just there was a release that we had on WCM.com last week about it. I guess, can you just explain a little bit about what this investment does for you guys and how excited I imagine you guys are pretty excited about the investment. So
you're right about that. We're very excited to partner with these these four groups. L. Catterton is they're a great private equity fund and going to be a great partner. They're consumer focused. They have a great team. They built some incredible brands over the years. So we're really excited to partner with them, and they're familiar with the RV space. They've done a few things. They own a couple of smart niche RV OEMs now. Thor Industries, which everyone knows. Chase and I actually know that management team. We've known them for a long time because we used to invest in Thor many years ago, and have known Bob and Todd for a long time. And when we went to them with our vision of, like Chase said, we want to build a portfolio over the long term of clean, safe, family-friendly, highly amenitized campgrounds that offer guests a very consistent experience. And we think that's what is lacking in the industry, or there's not a lot of, is that consistent experience across a brand, the portfolio. So that's what we were really focused on, and Thor loved that. So they were excited to partner with us, and we think they're incredible strategic partners. And then the other two investment groups, Long Light, led by Justin Croissant, and Chesapeake Partners, they're great partners and shared a similar vision. They love the outdoor space. So we couldn't be more excited by, having these groups in our corner.
Now, is this, so, when I read investment, I think, wow, they just got a ton of money. I guess, is it just money, or is it, other things that they're investing into this as well?
Sure. No, it's not just money. Again, L. Catterton, they have a background. I mean, they, buy smaller companies and larger companies, but they have a background and ability to really build some incredible brands over the years. Peloton, Hot Toddy Burger, you name it. They've done some amazing work of incubating and building brands. So they're going to be really helpful on that side from a strategic standpoint. And same thing with Thor. We're working on some potential partnerships with Thor behind the scenes now. We'll be in Elkhart in a few weeks. But we have constant calls with them discussing different things we could do to bring to the campgrounds, or even to their, people that own Thor branded, motor coaches or RVs, that we could do to differentiate the consumer customer experience. So we'll start rolling those out probably sometime next year.
So does this greatly accelerate your plans, or are we to see a big growth spurt here?
I wouldn't say it greatly accelerates. We've always had the vision of growing the portfolio. Part of it depends on the market. I mean, we want to, greatly accelerate our growth, but we're going to do it in a very smart fashion. We're not going out for a shotgun approach. We want to bring in great campgrounds into the portfolio that, we think consumers want to go to and have the ability to exceed the guest expectations. So we will be growing significantly over the coming years, but we're going to do it in a smart fashion.
So what's the for sale market look like now?
Sure, Chase, want to jump?
Yeah, I mean, Mike, I think we're starting to see some sellers be a little bit more realistic on expectations. As Jim mentioned, we paused for a couple years because we could not get comfortable with some of the underwriting. Basically, you were paying peak valuation multiples on peak numbers off of 2021 and 2022, and we just couldn't get there. And one of the things that's been great about the RV campground space historically, it's been relatively recession resistant, and even coming off of 2021 where we've seen a little bit of moderation in the overall business, it's still been pretty resilient. And I think that's one of the things that's emboldened us. And of course, what that means is that if you own a campground and your business has hung in well, the only thing that's really changed is interest rates, right? So it's a little bit harder for buyers to make the math work, and sellers, if they've got great assets, they don't really want to take haircuts on their properties. And so it's really on a case-by-case basis. But as Jim said, we're going to be very judicious and disciplined. This is not a blank check to just go and buy as many parks as you possibly can. We're not going to do that. So we still have to operate them, and they're not storage businesses, so they do have some operational intensity. So we just got to be intelligent with how we grow the business.
So there's been some chatter of late of folks that have said that a lot of new buyers went out there and overspent for campgrounds, and really drove up the market artificially. Any fears of that continuing?
There's no question, Mike, that happened in 2021 and 2022. We think some of those buyers are, licking their wounds now and are feeling it, because if you bought in 22 off of 21, 21 was incredible. You saw a step function higher on average across the U.S. of like 20+%, where things were normally growing kind of mid-single digits. So all those parks are normalizing in 22, 23, and 24 to some extent. So we think some of those buyers have cooled off and aren't as active in the market, or potentially even exiting the market. So we're hoping things are more rational going forward, but we'll see.
If those places do exit the market, does that give you guys more opportunity to potentially get some parks at good prices, I guess?
That's what we're hoping, Ben.
Yeah. That's what we're hoping, but I think it's market by market. There are some unbelievable markets that I don't think we need to talk about right now on this call, that are places that we would ultimately want to be long term, but have seen some unbelievably nice RV resorts built out in those markets. And we just don't know enough yet on kind of how that supply is going to be absorbed. So the broader thesis of why we decided to do this was, we felt that there's far more RVs being produced every year than number of campgrounds, but there are certain markets that have been overbuilt, we think. And so, we'd love to have a presence in those, but how that ultimately materializes in the next 12 to 18 months is going to be interesting. I don't think we know yet.
Yeah, I find it interesting too. Thor is, an RV maker. We talked some on the show about the RV industry and the relationship that they have with the outdoor hospitality industry, the RV parks and campgrounds. It's the relationship's been a little weird sometimes. Park owners kind of say that they don't really have too good of communication with the RV industry and stuff. I guess so. It's kind of interesting that Thor is investing in the parks. I know, we've gone to a lot of RV industry events where they talk about, needing, to be invested in this kind of area to create the sites for the RVs and things. So that's interesting that they're investing in this kind of stuff. So
sure. We think they're excited by the opportunity. Again, they want to be able to bring the best experience for the customer. So if the customer enjoys the campgrounds, they're going to continue to RV. So they were very excited by, our goal of setting out and doing that and being a part of that.
Yeah. And I think we've seen more RV companies looking at ways they can invest in this kind of stuff. I guess looking at your portfolio, there isn't a ton of glamping. I guess is glamping at all in in what you guys, envision when you look at these resorts? What does that look like at an open road resort, I guess?
We're not focused on glamping. We're focused on RV parks and campgrounds. I mean, we have a tiny home, a really nice tiny home at our Red Rock RV park that we put in. We have a really fun vintage Airstream at the Red Rock that we've put in that people could stay in. Also, we have cabins at all of our other campgrounds, deluxe cabins and camping cabins. We want to skew at all of our parks to lean heavily toward, our full hookup RV sites. But we'll certainly have some cabins and alternative accommodations at certain campgrounds.
Well, I mean, I guess depending on who you ask, the cabins could be considered glamping, I guess.
That's right.
That's true. So we'll have a small mix of glamping, just not a heavy mix.
So what's the hot new amenity or just the hot amenity that everybody wants on a park now?
Yeah, that's a great question. It seems like pickleball courts. So we have plans, in place. We'll add pickleball courts at our new build, the Greenfield development in Dallas. The one we're acquiring in Dallas, we're looking at an area now where we think pickleball courts can make some sense. Swimming pools depending on the market, mini golf depending on the market. Not really nice playgrounds important, given some of the RVers have kids. Dog parks.
Certainly not new, but always important is clean and nice restrooms, right? So that's one of the things that we, living in Texas, I don't know if you guys experienced Buc-ee's before.
Oh yeah,
I've heard of it.
Yeah. And Buc-ee's is kind of notoriously known for clean bathrooms, right? And if we could ever emulate and be known to have restrooms like Buc-ee's, that would be a success story for us. So it's a focus for us going forward.
Yeah. One of the biggest knocks you'll see in reviews for campgrounds, I'm sure you guys know this, is the restrooms, the bathroom and shower facilities and laundry facilities. So when we did our expansion at Red Rock, we built 1,000 square foot incredible bathroom facility, laundry facility, showers. And we're going to actually take that template, and they're building it right now. The same thing at Omaha, which when I'm down there, we'll meet up and I'll tour you around. And we're going to do the same thing at Santa Fe. We're going to do the same thing at each park. So people know when we go to an open road resorts property, we're going to consistently have these immaculately clean, brand new, nice bathroom and shower facilities, which we think is really important.
Yeah, definitely. What's the occupation? Have your resorts been busy this summer, I guess?
They have been busy for sure. The one thing that we've noticed relative to prior years, and we saw this last year too, is the booking window has tightened up, right? So getting back to the more traditional, I think, appeal of people that like to go RVing is kind of, have the ability to set your own schedule. And, if you come to Red Rock around Yellowstone, have the ability to extend your stay for a few days extra if you want to, and not have to be worried about, planning every single day 6 months prior. So we've been, pleasantly surprised with how the business has been very resilient. Certainly, it's just a different booking environment than a couple years ago when, you entered April and you were pretty much booked for the entire season in Yellowstone. So, but overall, no complaints.
That's how some park owners got themselves in trouble during COVID. They accepted the really early reservations and then spent the deposit money before the campers showed up, and then the refunds started coming in, and that was a mess. But you guys don't do that, do you?
No, we don't do that.
No.
We know better than that.
I mean, that's what we've been hearing as the booking window is shortening and people aren't planning out as far ahead. But maybe they stay a little bit longer. Do you guys do like the marketing approaches where you offer them an extra night if it's available and send that out to their phones and emails and stuff while they're at the park?
We do. We communicate with them prior to arrival just so that they're thinking about it. We communicate with them when they arrive. We want to be sensitive to not, just blow them up constantly, but we try to have a couple touch points so that they know if, they want to extend their stay, and assuming we have availability, that we'd be happy to offer that to them. We offer them a discount for nights that they extend. So, and we're happy to do that. And, we think ultimately, the trend that we're seeing with people being able to book closer in and travel around is ultimately a good thing, and will probably keep people in the RV space, versus you can imagine, if you buy an RV in 21 and you're like, well, I gotta have 6 months to plan every single day. That kind of takes a little bit of the freedom feel of RVing away.
Yeah, definitely. So like in the next 5-10 years, where do you guys hope to be at?
It's a great question. We want to continue to build the portfolio. In 5 years, we'd love to have, 30 to 50 high quality RV parks across the U.S. Under the Open Road Resorts family.
That's a pretty big number. That's a lot of parks.
We'll have our 7th, by the end of the month, and we'll hopefully keep going from there in the next 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
And hopefully our kids will have a chance to work on some of these campgrounds. One of the things that's been really cool as we've gotten to get familiar with the owners that we've purchased these parks for is their kids, which tend to a lot of times be teenagers. They work on the campground, and you can tell with a lot of these kids that they're very well spoken with adults and understand customer service. And so we've Jim and I, before we ever thought of partnering with anybody, we always thought it was just a cool space to be in. And we always thought of this would be something that we'd want to have our kids involved in. And, we think it's a fantastic space for families.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you guys for coming on. We got to wrap up here, but thanks Jim and Chase for coming on. And how can people learn more about Open Road Resorts if they're interested in investing or talking to you about selling a park or in that kind of stuff?
Sure. Yeah. Please go to our website, visit openroadresorts.com. There's an acquisitions tab on there where they could fill out their information, and some testimonials from owners we've bought from. That we're easy guys to work with and very honest and open. Go to our website, and we'd love to have a chat.
All right. Well,
thanks so much for the time.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, everyone have a good rest of the week, and we will be back again next week.
Thank you for listening to WCM's Park Update, a production of Woodall's Campground Magazine. Join us for a new show each Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn for daily news and updates, and subscribe to our news feed on our website at woodallscm.com.